Thomas says, my Lord and my God. Which, wow, blew everybody away. It blows me away. Because that's a proclamation you don't see. And that's what we see about Thomas.
Oh, it also talks about, you know, a lot of people think that if they doubt it's a sin.
Right.
It isn't. Doubting is a part of the journey. The only time it might be detrimental to you is if you get stuck.
Oh yeah.
You know,
stay in that doubt.
you're just stuck in that doubt. You doubt everything all around you. You know, usually doubt is a catalyst that moves us into a deeper faith, like it did with doubting Thomas. And I can bet that I'm not the only one in this congregation today that stood by themselves looking to God and said, are you there? Do something so I know you're real. How many have done that? You just stuck your hand in the side of Jesus. You just felt Jesus' hands. You just felt Jesus' feet. Because the minute you said that, you reached in and said, are you real, God? And what did you find out? That was the doubting Thomas moment for you. That was the doubting Thomas moment for Thomas. You know, he did great things. Ricky was telling me he ended up in, was it Asia?
Yeah.
He ended up in Asia and ministered there as an evangelist for a long time. And he was not crucified, is that right?
No, but he was
a
a
martyr.
martyr.
He was a martyr.
What they threw him in a pit.
Oh, that's
and then they took spears and threw him at him.
Yeah.
A courageous man who said, my Lord and my God, who died saying, my Lord and my God. You know, many times, that's why I get moved. I think, would I be able to do that? I'd like to think I could, but I don't know. And yet you see all these great believers, all these, you know, past historical figures who were willing to die for the cause of Christ. Wow. It blows me away time and time again. My Lord and my God. And he was courageous. You know, courageous. And you said something interesting, Pastor, when we were discussing this, that courageous means what the founder of our church, Troy Perry, said. Courageous means making a stand to keep the main thing, and the main thing
we're reclaiming our faith.
Yes.
We are in the business of reclaiming our faith from some convicted do-gooders that like to tell us, shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bet that when we walked through the MCC doors for the first time, wherever it was in the world, we were doubting Thomas. We were going to come in and say, maybe just maybe, because Stephen Troy used to say, and Frida, they said MCC is not the first stop, it's the last stop.
Yeah.
They'd already been out there and tried. They'd already been out there and turned their back on God. They'd already been out there and went to church and listened to things from the pulpit that never should have been said in a pulpit. They've already been in relationships that have no faith base and ended up in addiction. They've already been, you know, up to the place where they said, this is it. I'm killing myself. They've already attempted to kill themselves. They've done all that good footwork before they come in this door. It's not the first place, it's the last place.
Amen.
And so that's why we were saying, you know, it's okay to be a doubter. And I was telling Ricky, we were in there, and I said, man, I don't know what he does to me, this Ricky. I start hearing hymns in my head, and they're old ones. And I got to look at the words because I sang them at church camp, and he starts quoting them, and I said, don't spill my word.
I didn't.
He did. But he might sing it if you want an altar call.
417.
417. Thank you. Just as I am. You know, for those of you that come from that background, where that hymn was used for what? Altar call. Yeah, somebody from the Baptist church might remember that. You know, when the big lady with lots of arms gets up there and starts saying, you know, come to Jesus, and you're going to go talk to that one. And the congregation starts singing Just As I Am. I'm such a drama queen. I said, could you start this song in the back? When I do the altar call. No, it is. I started to think about Just As I Am and how hard that is for humanity to really embrace and set in. We want to say, if I want to be like that one, then I'll be okay. I'll try and try and try, and it isn't good enough, is it? Now that is not what Christ said. Christ said, you know, peace be with you. Christ said, what? Just as you are. Jesus healed more and more people where they were at, not after the healing. You know, I heard a good sermon one time. It just always stuck with me and said, You know, it was a story about the lepers. And they were talking about, you know, the leprosy. Jesus doesn't like anything that stands between you and God. So the healing had a reason. Remember when I say go out and don't sin anymore? It doesn't mean to correlate sin with sickness. But that sickness kept people away from the church, away from their community, because you were secluded. Oh my goodness, people with AIDS. I can't take communion at MCC. What if someone has AIDS? So we had to change the communal cup. I always thought the Holy Spirit would cover it and we wiped it. But you know, Amen. There were some people that their little injustices were coming out. I don't want to get sick from that cut. People don't stay home. Did you see Joe had cold sores? Isn't that terrible? I wonder what Jesus thinks upon that. So then we changed that, you know, so it's the dippy, that it's more inviting, not so intimate. But Jesus meets you where you're at. I don't care how stony you think you can get. I do not care how much alcohol and outer reality that you can get. You could be plumb blasted out of your mind going, Lord, just go right here. I'm going to write something called the Rag Man for people who are drugs and drug addicts.
Amen.
Who won't blame the Rag Man, who becomes the symbol to Walt Ragman of Jesus. There's a story about a rag man, and as the rag man goes to each person, takes on what they have, goes to an alcoholic and starts staggering, saying, rags, rags, exchange for new ones to old ones. Goes on, and there's a Vietnam vet. One arm's gone. The rag man trades the coat the rag man had on for the one the vet had on. He said, you don't want my coat. He put that on, and he had two arms. So now he's staggering and pushing his cart with one arm. And he comes upon a little girl, a little tiny girl sitting on the street. She's poor, and she'd been hit with something from one of the parents, and she was bleeding. And the rag man goes up and takes her rag off and puts a new one on, and she's healed. Now you see the rag man walking, staggering, one arm and bleeding from the face. And then, all of a sudden, the rag man took this journey, and this writer had to follow this rag man through this journey, and this rag man went all the way up to the top of the garbage pile and sat. And then the writer says, I fell asleep. I fell asleep on there. And he said, when I woke up, I looked to the top of the heap. The rag man was gone, and there laid all those traded cloths, folded clean. You know, that's an amazing writer. I love him. The fact that Jesus goes right where we're at. Probably more in times in our despair, you know, than more on the mountaintop experience, because we have that too. So, you know, I mean, it's like, go ahead and doubt. This morning I was like, you just got to come as you are. Go ahead and doubt, because Jesus will meet you where you need to be met, right. Speak in the language that you understand.
Amen. Amen.
You know, that small inner voice speaks differently to us. We recognize it in different ways when we discern what we know as a path and discern what might be something that's a path, but maybe it's going to have a lot more consequences. That's not Pentecostal.
You do. That's good. It's okay to doubt.
It is.
But don't let your doubts keep you away.
Yeah.
And that's what that little song, Just As I Am, says, Pastor. Just as I am without.
We can sing in acapellas before we do hymnals.
417.
And this one is 417. If you have another hymnal color and it might be a different number, we'll get some time. It is 417 in this one. I don't know if we have that on the song anywhere or not. So Pastor Ricky likes to sing because Gina's got Micah and her voice moves all over the place.
It's a good song though. It says,
You know all the words, I'll just do it. Do you know the words?
I do.
Just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee, O Lamb of God,
Jesus, who is the doubt lifter. And
That's the best message. It
it
is.
really is.
And the song that we chose to follow our sermon, we gotta have Dolores Ferry singing this one.
I don't know, somebody.
Anyway, we have, I don't know if we do, but we have, one of my favorites, You Are My Hiding Place.
Yes.
I actually heard it first in the interpretation of Dolores Ferry, who was an African-American evangelist in MCC. And it really, I heard it on, I bought a tape of hers, and I heard her sing that, and, you know, something amazing happened in my heart. It was one of those holy moments when it was larger. And so we chose this really to come and understand all you gotta do is trust, you know, and step in that. And hopefully this song will give you that moment just to reflect on what popped out for you today. God bless you to say.
Amen.